Hello and welcome to my tutorial on coding. Coding is technically just another way of saying computer programming, and this can actually help us to make our own websites. Now, one thing about the computer programming is that there's a lot of languages involved in it. However, in this tutorial I'm just going to go over one of them. And this language I'm going to be going over is actually one of the common programming languages used. Now there is a lot of code in this one, so I'm just going to do some of it, and mainly the basic parts of it. And the language I'm technically going to be doing in this tutorial is HTML. Now HTML is the easiest out of the common languages, and websites technically are built based on these, and it's usually the first language that goes into them. So in one way or another, HTML is like in relation to a website, that HTML is like the foundation of a house to a website. Okay? Now, HTML is actually written in things like Notepad and other sort of software like that. Now, I would technically recommend that you use something like Notepad++, which is a lot better. Now, the reason why it's a lot better is it has other features, and it just color codes the text, and I'll show you what I mean by that when we get into the coding bits. Now, first of all, we're going to need to get Notepad++ if you don't already have it. So, if you don't have it already, just go to your web browser, and in the search engine, just search Notepad++. Alright, okay. Now, when you do, go to this one. It's notepad++++.org, and this should be what the website you enter looks like. So, this little picture up here. Go down to download. Now it's a free download, so you don't have to worry about it. And you click on this download button right here, and just follow the instructions, and you'll eventually have a installer, and you can just go through the installer, and eventually you'll have Notepad++. Okay, so when you have Notepad++, you can technically start on the coding. Now, first of all, a few things about HTML. Well, HTML itself stands for the following. So, the H is hyper, the T is text, the M is markup, and the L is language. So HTML basically therefore stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Now hypertext is words you would normally see on a web page, and a markup language is basically a language that is built upon markup tags, more commonly known as tags, and I'll explain more about these tags later on. So, through that, what hypertext markup language means is tags that are used to bring text onto a web page. Now, HTML, just like all the other programming languages, they are read by web browsers, and they are translated and displayed as the text is supposed to be. So, I will show you what I mean about this later on. But first of all, I'm going to need to explain three main important things about what we'll be going over in HTML. Now, in HTML, we'll have things like tags, as I have said earlier on, elements, and element content. Now, first of all, tags, they are keywords surrounded by angle brackets. And what angle brackets are like the less than and the more than signs used in maths. Alright? So, in order here, the two characters, as you can see, the one on the left is the less than sign, and the one on the right is the more than sign. But in coding, we would normally refer to these as the angle brackets. Now, as I said, these would be surrounding keywords. Now, such keywords would involve like HTML. This would be the first one that we would normally see in code. And there would be other ones like Sorry about that, two H's, but anyway. And the final type is body. Alright, so okay, so those three would technically be the main types of tags we would use at the start. Now, as well as this, we also have a slightly different type of looking tag as well. Now what this tag is technically called is the closing tag. And the closing tag looks a bit like this tag, except it's with a slash. So this is what it would kind of look like. Now, if you can guess that this is a closing tag, you're correct about what the other one is an opening tag. So in HTML, or not really HTML but coding, we would call these a pair of tags. Now, at the very beginning of a web page, we would usually have these classified as HTML tags. Now, HTML tags are what start a web page. So, the first one here, this is called an opening HTML tag, and this tag here, so open a tag, the keyword HTML, and then close a tag, that basically tells the web browser that it's going to start opening an HTML document. Now this second one here is an HTML closing tag, so as you can see, the only difference between them is the slash. Now the slash is actually to the right of the full stop button, which you can see on the second lower line of the keyboard. So it's between the full stop button and the shift button, right? And with angle brackets, that to bring them up, you pretty much press shift and then comma for the less than sign, which is to open a tag, and then shift full stop to bring up the more than sign, which is used to close a tag. Now, as I said, these are not the only sort of tags we would see. So as you did see, I brought up head tags and body tags. Now, these tags, the head and body tags, would actually go between our HTML tags. Okay, like so. Now, both the head and body tags, they would also have their own versions of closing tags. Okay, so if you hopefully get the idea of what I mean, you should understand up to this point. But just in case, I will just go over it quickly. On line 1, we have an HTML opening tag, which tells a web going to start opening an HTML document. On line 2, we have a head opening tag, which opens up the head section. And what a head section on a web page really is, or the code behind a web page, is basically the background work behind a web page. And I'll explain some of this later on. Now, then on line 3 we have a head closing tag, and this just closes the head section. On line 4 we have a body opening tag, and this tells the web browser we are going to open the actual web page itself. So where all of the code is going to be that actually shows the actual layout of the web page, and I'll show you some features of what things technically you can put into the bodies, between the body tags later on. Then on line 5 we have a body closing tag, and this just closes the web page part off. And on the 6th line here we have an HTML closing tag, and this just closes the entire document. Okay, so this basically, what you're seeing here, is technically called the minimum amount of tags. So every single website has no less than this. Okay, so this is technically what you would see are tags. Now, as well as that, we also have like element content. Now, element content is everything usually that goes between a pair of tags. Now, as we can see here, the HTML opening tag and the HTML closing tag, everything between here, such as the head opening and closing tags and the body opening and closing tags, they would be, part of the HTML document itself, as you can see, but also they're the element content of the HTML tags. And also the final part, which is elements, is everything. So like this part here, the HTML opening tag, that would be, like as I said, starting off the entire HTML document and down to here, which closes it. Okay? And this would, from the HTML opening to the HTML closing tags, that it's basically saying the entire document. Now this part here, the head one, that's just saying about the head element. Now everything between a pair of tags will be recognized as that sort of element. And the element content would be seen as sort of the stuff between the pair of tags, as I said. So for a quick summary, HTML is hypertext markup language, which means a language that uses tags to display text on a web page. HTML is read by web browsers, which read the code, translate it, and display it on a web page. And then finally, there's the tags, the elements, and the element content. The tags, they are keywords surrounded by angle brackets, as you can see, and they are divided down into two sort of types, opening and closing, with the difference being that there's a slash before the keyword in the closing tag. So that's technically about the tags, and the elements is from a tag opening tag, from an opening tag to a closing tag, and an element content is everything that goes between them. So hopefully you have some sort of an idea after that about the whole thing after that. Okay, so now I'm going to introduce to you about title tags. Now what title tags are is they're sort of the tabs that you see. Now what I mean by this is if you just go to your web browser and come up here, that you'll notice this right here, which is the tab, that all the words in here, that is sort of what goes into the title tags. Okay? So if we go back to Notepad++ here, where we put the title tags is actually between the head tags. Okay, so when you go into your head, between your head tags, you can open a tag first, put in your keyword, which is title, then you close a tag, throw in a name. So for example, like my first coding website, or my first coding web page, whatever you want, anything at all. So just think of something at all. It can be anything you want. And then when you have that done, you'll need to then save it. Okay. Now to save something as an HTML file, what you do is you go up to File. Okay, so you click on File first, scroll down to Save As. Now then when you click on Save As, a Save As dialog box should come up, and then down here in the file name, change it to something that you might remember. So say, like, if you want, you can put in what you have in the title, or you can change it. So I'm just going to go for what I wrote down. So my first coding website. Okay. Now before you save it, you want to change it. You want to change the type that the file is. Right. So as you can see, it says a normal text file. But however, if we did save it like this, our web page wouldn't work. So we want to make it an HTML language file. Okay, so once you select hypertext markup language file, it'll basically tell us that it's going to be an HTML file. So when we save that, a little bit of a difference is shown. So as I did say, that the one good thing about Notepad++, unlike Notepad, is it color codes our text or our code. So as you can see here, that these tags here, along with this one right over here, they are blue. Okay, and the code between the title tags is black. So this is how it kind of differentiates one text from another. The black text is technically the text you would see on like the web page and even in the title. And the blue is just telling it about tags. Now, to bring up your HTML file, it's actually a really cool feature built into Notepad++, and you can't actually use Notepad for this because you'll have to go searching through your entire computer for the file name, which would be somewhat annoying. So what you do is with Notepad++, go up to this tab here called Run, and then if you see here that there's a list of 4 different sort of web browsers like Firefox, Internet Explorer, Chrome and Safari. Now I'm just going to click on Chrome, but you can choose any one of the 4 that you have, or any one of the ones you have. Now as you can see that we typed my first coding website into the title, and it shows up right here. Okay, so that's pretty much a good basic intro into coding about such as mainly the title. Now that's not the only thing as we can do, as you may know. So if we go back down to Notepad++ and go back to our code, we can add other things. Now the next thing I'm going to teach you actually goes in between the body tags. So the following code will show up on the web page itself. Now the thing that we can do, that I'm going to teach you next, is sort of things you can write, like about writing in HTML. And what I'm going to be doing is things called headings. Now, headings, right, you need to open the tag first, and the letter H here will signify that we're going to open a tag. Now, at the moment, the HTML thinks we're just writing plain old text, no tags. So that's why it pitches black first. Now, in HTML, there's actually 6 different types of headings, and they go from 1 to 6, and they get bigger. The text gets smaller as the number increases. So, for example, we have 1. So, as you can see here now, the Notepad++ recognizes it as a tag. But what you also may recognize is that the body closing tag underneath it has a different change in it. And what Notepad++ thinks here is that the body closing tag is actually part of the heading 1 opening tag. Now to change this, all you need to do is close that tag. Okay, so just continue writing in the closing tag for that, and just add in the rest of those tags for heading 2, heading 3, all the way down to heading 6. Okay, now don't forget that closing tags, and don't forget to properly close the tags either. Okay.